Hello fellas. So today I want to show you what I do with my artwork once it's in the computer. It is not necessarily going to be how I draw the piece. This is more going to be like what I do in the computer to make it look the way I look, the inverted colors. I have drawn a piece that is kind of goes over all the nuances that I've ever used. So I will show you different things. I've segmented it below as well, so you can jump to a specific thing if you need to. Now my editing software of choice is Photoshop. You could use any, to be honest. I think they all should have these features. So mine is mostly going to be focused on how I do this in Photoshop. I will also link the PSD file that I use below so you can download it and it's easier for you to keep up with it. And the first thing I do is I take a picture of the artwork with my phone. It could be any camera. Your phone doesn't need to be like with a super good camera or anything like that. Just take a picture of it, get it into your computer, and then you can start working on it.
Alright, so we're in the computer now. So the first thing I usually do is I take the select tool, I pull away roughly the size of the drawing, and I copy it, and I create a new file. And I go something like 5000 by 5000. I paste it here, I press Ctrl T, that pulls up the resize thing, and I resize it to fit the screen over here.
Now what I continue on doing is I play with the lights and the darks of the picture. So I drive up the highlights, I lower the shadows, so it becomes almost like a ready-made piece already. You could post something like that and it should be good enough.
And if you zoom in by pressing Ctrl space and right click and select 100%, you can see it's very blurry. But what we do now is, I'll go to fit screen again. We go to image, adjustments, and exposure. And now I play around with the exposure up here, which makes the highlights go away. And the gamma correction down here, which makes the darks more dark. So this way we already have mainly the whites and blacks out of this.
Now the next step is to cut the whole piece out and make it into a separate layer.
So what I do now, I select the magic wand tool. I click anywhere on the white, and then I click right click and similar. Now I right click again and select inverse. And now you can hold down Alt and use the scroll on your mouse wheel. You zoom out the places that you have here. You can use the Alt key to remove these, so it only leaves the line that you need over here. And now I hide this layer. I select the background layer and I click Ctrl J, which creates a copy of it. And now I click Ctrl I, which inverts it. And now if we go to 100% again, you can see it's sharper. So now I have this layer selected from the right here, and I click Ctrl J. This creates another mask for me. Now I click Ctrl T and right click and flip horizontal and click enter. So now I have this part over here and I can like adjust it. You need to like see with your artwork how well it will move for you. You need to like play around a bit. And I zoom in holding the Alt key and using the scroll wheel on the mouse, or you can go like Control space, right click and go 100%. And I choose the eraser tool from the left. And I adjust its size by holding down the Alt key and the right key and moving the mouse left to right. And like since it's kind of like you see the edges are kind of fuzzy, you hold down Alt, the right key, and you move it downwards. So then you can see that the hardness over here in the middle goes to 100%. You can also adjust it if you click on the top, and here you have the hardness and size. And now I will erase out some artwork from here and up here as well. And now what you can do is select the brush tool from here and hold down Alt and right key again, and you can adjust the size. And I do it almost this size, and I will do it so. And down here for example also, I will connect some lines that I have open. So now we have the full mask. What I do now is I hold down Shift and I click all the layers. You could have a situation where there's like a random thing in between. So then you hold down the Control key and select the layers that you want to put into one. So you select them, right click and merge. What this does is that you can move this thing around as whole. Before that, it would have been that you're moving these individual pieces together. So what I do now is I select the magic wand tool again from the top. I click outside of my current image. I right click and select inverse. I select the background and I click Ctrl J. Now I select the background again and click Ctrl I. Now if you zoom in, you can see it has these white edges around the picture. How you fix that is you double click the layer that you duplicated from your background. You click stroke, and on stroke you select inside. You select the color black from down here, and you adjust the size to like 2. And now you right click the layer and rasterize layer style. So this gets rid of the edges and it leaves you with this mask. And with this again, I hold down shift, select both of these, right click and merge layers. So I can move this around as one now.
So now let's say you want to add colors. This could be something special that you do, like you add one type of a color or something to your artwork.
Now, if you want to paint certain parts of the image, you click Ctrl, Shift and N. That prompts a new layer window. So you click OK. Now on the layer window, let's take the brush tool. Let's take the color red from here. Adjust the brush size. If you were to draw, it will go all over the thing. So Ctrl Z to undo it. Now the layer that you just created, make sure it's on top of this layer here, that is your mask or whatever art piece you're doing. Right click it and create clipping mask. What this does is now if you paint, it's only inside. But this one doesn't satisfy enough yet, so Ctrl C. And from here you choose darken. And now when you draw, it draws only on the white of the image. Let's paint in the nose guard, for example. So you kind of roughly go around it, and here you just basically paint it in and use the eraser tool. So if something like this happens, you don't want the color over there, you can later remove it. So I will go very roughly. And now I have the nose guard painted in. So I'll take the eraser tool and take it away from places where I don't want it to show. For example, the eyes. So now if you go 100%, you can paint a certain part like this. I will leave it out. I will leave it as a mask just like this. And that's that. And what I do now is I save this piece because it's a larger reference for the photo. And this you can later use if you want to do any posters or apparel or anything. So you have a larger copy of the picture. And what I do from here is I select the layer where my mask is on. I click Ctrl A and Ctrl C. So I copy it. I create a new file, and this is the one that goes to Instagram. So it's 1080 by 1080. I paste it here. I click Ctrl T to adjust its size. And I zoom in with the Alt key and the mouse wheel. I adjust it in the middle, a bit smaller, and like that. And now the background I select and Ctrl I. And I like to go with the background a little bit lighter, but you can leave it dark like that. And if you double click it, it will remove it as a background and make it a layer. So here, if you double click it, you can go to color overlay and choose like a light gray or so. Now, if you choose a light gray, you will notice that the outlines on your picture are black, and this will show and look cheap. So you want to select your artwork and choose lighten, so that the dark parts become the same color as your background.
Now the piece is looking pretty good, but it should have some more detail to it. It's quite bland. So for that, I use an overlay filter that I've done myself. The easiest way to do it is to take a picture of concrete. I've found out that concrete works the best, but you can take anything out in nature, be creative with it. You can even take pictures of grass, for example, and make it black and white, and it should work as an overlay filter. But you want to have like lights and darks in there to play around with it. So this is what you do. You take a picture of concrete with your phone, you upload it into the computer, you play around with it a bit, and then you will have a more interesting look to your pictures. Boop, and we're done.
So what I do now is I open the picture of the concrete we took, click Ctrl A, Ctrl C, so you copy it, you come here, Ctrl V, so you have it on top of this. And I will adjust its size a bit so it will fit on here nicely. And it's best if you don't leave shadows there like I have left here, because those will mess with it a bit. So I click Ctrl Shift Alt and B, and that makes it black and white. And now from here, you choose lighten. And now you choose image, adjustments, brightness and contrast. You move the contrast to the right, so it's very contrasting, and you move the brightness down. And this way you can already see the kind of grunge filter over here. And you can keep playing around with it until it fits you. You can add more contrast so it looks more distinct, and then you play around with the lightness and darkness. This is how I like it. If you have one that has the shadow on here like me, you can click Ctrl J to duplicate it, Ctrl T, hold down Shift and rotate it around and maybe move it around a bit, and you will have something like this. Now, since I have two of these layers, I shift click them, select both of them and merge layers, and then again choose lighten. And now the light parts I am happy with. So now I hit Ctrl J and I choose darken. I can hit Ctrl I, and now I shift it around. I click Ctrl T and rotate it around a bit and move it down a bit. And this adds the part onto the white mask over here. If I move it around, you can see it. And here you can also go to adjustments, brightness and contrast, play around with the contrast so the whites become more white. And here you can see some of it is on the background, like the black dots here. If you don't want that, you push this layer onto your artwork layer, right click and create clipping mask. So now it's not on here. It will only move inside the mask. And then you play around with it until you're happy. And if these are too bright for you, you can adjust the opacity so they look more faded.
And that is pretty much all there is to it. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comments or write to me on Instagram. And good luck playing around with it. I'll see you in the next one.